Welcome back to Global Facts, bringing you the latest news from around the world. I'm sure you've heard the news. Tonight, we begin with a story that touches every American, your groceries, your job, and America's place in the world. Whether you're shopping for dinner, clocking in at work, or simply following the news, the ripple effects of what's happening in Washington are impossible to ignore. The choices made in the halls of power are now reaching into every home, every wallet, and every community across the nation. Just this morning, President Trump announced sweeping new tariffs. 100% on foreign-made movies, 30% on upholstered furniture, 50% on kitchen cabinets, and more. These aren't just numbers on a page. They're decisions that will impact what we buy, how much we pay, and even the security of our jobs. The administration says these tariffs are a bold move to protect American industries and level the playing field with trading partners, but the scale and speed of these changes have left many reeling. This isn't just a policy debate, it's an economic hurricane, and we're all in its path. Like a storm gathering strength, these tariffs threaten to disrupt global supply chains, shake up markets, and send shockwaves through the economy. For businesses large and small, the uncertainty is already causing anxiety, and for families, the consequences could be felt in everyday life. The White House says it's about bringing jobs back and forcing fairer trade, but economists warn the reality is far more dangerous. While some see hope for American manufacturing, others fear retaliation from trading partners, higher costs for consumers, and a possible slowdown in economic growth. The debate is fierce, with passionate arguments on both sides, but the risks are undeniable. Financial markets have already reacted, and the IMF has cut its global growth forecast, citing these trade tensions. Investors are watching nervously as stocks fluctuate and uncertainty grows. Around the world, leaders are scrambling to respond, and economists are warning that the fallout could be long-lasting, affecting not just the US, but economies everywhere. The principles of free trade, guiding commerce since outweigh are being challenged like never before. For decades, open markets and international cooperation have fueled prosperity and innovation. Now those foundations are being shaken, raising questions about the future of global trade and America's leadership on the world stage. This isn't just about Washington. It's about price hikes at your local store and threats to American farmers. From the cost of groceries to the fate of family farms, the impact is real and immediate. Farmers worry about losing access to foreign markets while families brace for higher prices on everyday essentials. The stakes are high and the uncertainty is growing. Tonight we break down what these tariffs mean, why experts are alarmed, and how it all affects you. We'll hear from those on the front lines, workers, business owners, and families who are already feeling the effects. As the nation braces for what comes next, we ask, how will this economic hurricane reshape our lives, our economy, and our future? And to grasp the stakes of today's trade debate, let's start with the basics. What exactly is a tariff, and why does it matter so much right now? Tariffs have been a part of global commerce for centuries, shaping the way countries interact and compete. At its core, a tariff is a tax placed on goods that are brought into a country from abroad. When a product crosses a border, the government can charge an extra fee, making that item more expensive for consumers and businesses. The main goal of a tariff is to make foreign products costlier, so that domestic products, those made at home, look more attractive by comparison. This is supposed to encourage people to buy local, supporting homegrown industries and jobs. Ideally, this means more Americans working in factories, more Made in USA labels on store shelves, and a stronger national economy. But the story doesn't end there. In fact, tariffs were once a major source of revenue for the US government, funding everything from infrastructure to national defense before the income tax existed. But after the devastation of the Great Depression, world leaders realized that high tariffs could trigger economic disaster. Countries began to lower trade barriers, hoping to prevent another global collapse and encourage cooperation. Fast forward to today, President Trump argues that countries like China have taken advantage of the global system, using unfair practices to boost their own economies at America's expense. He points to shuttered factories, lost manufacturing jobs, and a ballooning trade deficit as evidence that the US is losing out under current rules. For Trump, tariffs are a tool, a way to pressure other countries into negotiating fairer deals, and to protect American industries from what he sees as unfair competition. But nearly all economists warn that, in reality, it's American consumers and businesses who end up paying higher prices. Tariffs can ripple through the economy, raising costs for everything from cars to groceries. What's different now is the sheer scale of the proposed tariffs. We're not talking about a few targeted industries. This is a broad, sweeping change. The plan calls for a 10% baseline tariff on nearly all imports, affecting thousands of everyday products Americans rely on. And for certain key goods, like steel, electronics, and products from specific countries, the rates could go even higher, making them much more expensive. This isn't just targeted protectionism, it's a dramatic unilateral shift in how America approaches trade, with consequences that reach far beyond our borders. The result? Unprecedented uncertainty for businesses, investors, and workers as companies scramble to adapt to new costs and shifting rules. There's a real risk that this could spark a global trade war, with other countries retaliating and the world economy facing new threats. The world hasn't seen anything on this scale since the 1930s, and the stakes, for America and the world, couldn't be higher. 2025 will be remembered as the year America built a wall of tariffs around its economy. This wasn't a physical wall, but a sweeping set of trade barriers that touched nearly every corner of American life. The shift was sudden, dramatic, and for many, unexpected. Overnight, the rules of global commerce changed, and the ripple effects are still being measured. The average U.S. tariff rate has soared from under 2.5% to over 18% in just 9 months. This is the fastest and most significant tariff escalation in modern American history, sending shockwaves through both domestic and international markets. Businesses, investors, and consumers alike have been forced to adapt to a new reality almost overnight. Tariff revenue hit $28 billion in June, triple last year's average. For the federal government, this surge in revenue is a windfall, providing a temporary boost to the Treasury. But for American households and businesses, it's a different story, as these costs are often passed down the supply chain. The administration calls this a win, touting the increased revenue and claims of protecting American jobs. But economists see it as a massive tax on Americans, warning that higher prices and reduced choices are the real cost. The debate is fierce, with both sides presenting starkly different visions for the country's economic future. Tariffs now hit everything from furniture and trucks to kitchen cabinets and even online shopping. Everyday goods, once taken for granted, are now subject to new fees and delays. The impact is felt in stores, on factory floors, and in the digital marketplace. A 100% tariff on foreign-made movies has stunned the entertainment industry, raising questions about cultural exchange and the future of global cinema in the US, and patented drugs are now at the center of a global backlash, as pharmaceutical giants and foreign governments push back against what they see as protectionism gone too far. Patients and healthcare providers worry about access and affordability. Companies like AstraZeneca are investing billions in US factories to avoid tariffs, but this could disrupt global supply chains. The long-term effects on innovation, pricing, and international cooperation remain uncertain, as businesses scramble to adjust their strategies. Everyday purchases are no longer exempt. Online orders from Shein, once a symbol of fast, affordable fashion, now come with added costs and longer wait times. And Temu, another online giant, faces similar hurdles as customs inspections and tariffs slow deliveries and raise prices for millions of American shoppers. This is a fundamental rewiring of America's economic relationship with the world. Allies and rivals alike are reassessing their ties with the US, and the global trading system is being reshaped in real time. The effects are only beginning to be felt. As prices rise and supply chains shift, Americans are left to navigate a new economic landscape, one defined by uncertainty, adaptation, and the far-reaching consequences of a tariff wall that shows no signs of coming down. Economists and trade experts are nearly unanimous. Broad, high tariffs are a blunt tool that will likely do more harm than good. The first warning is inflation. Tariffs raise costs for American companies who pass them on to consumers. The CBO projects tariffs will shrink the U.S. economy even if they reduce borrowing. Global supply chains built for efficiency are thrown into chaos as companies scramble to adapt. This leads to shortages, higher prices, and business disruptions. Retaliation is inevitable. China has halted U.S. soybean purchases, and the EU, Canada, and Mexico are hitting back. Trade wars choke off commerce in both directions, hurting exporters and importers alike. The result? A smaller global economic pie for everyone. The promise of a manufacturing renaissance is overshadowed by the risk of widespread economic pain. The consensus is clear: these tariffs threaten more than they protect. The ripple effect of tariffs starts overseas and ends at your local store. American manufacturers may benefit at first, but they often rely on imported parts now subject to tariffs. This drives up costs, forcing companies to either raise prices or cut jobs. The uncertainty freezes business investment. Why expand when the rules could change overnight? Major retailers warn they can't absorb the higher costs and will have to raise prices. Some importers shift to other countries, but this just raises costs further. The disruption is real, and American consumers ultimately pay the price. Tariffs don't just shift trade, they make everything more expensive. For most Americans, the trade war hits home in the family budget. Prices on everyday goods, tomatoes, coffee, furniture, are already rising. Big-ticket items like sofas and kitchen cabinets are set to jump by hundreds or thousands of dollars. Tariffs act like a regressive tax, hitting middle and lower-income families hardest. While some jobs may be created in protected industries, more are likely lost elsewhere as costs rise. Sectors from agriculture to retail are already feeling the pain of lost markets and higher expenses. Companies face tough choices: raise prices, cut staff, or risk going under. The bottom line: tariffs squeeze household budgets and threaten jobs. America's tariff strategy has triggered fierce retaliation from trading partners. The EU, China, Canada, and Mexico are all hitting back with tariffs on iconic U.S. products. China's halt on U.S. soybean purchases has devastated American farmers. Temporary truces and fragile deals offer little relief as tensions remain high. Allies like Canada, Mexico, and the UK are negotiating exemptions, but many tariffs remain. Retaliatory measures mean American exporters lose access to key markets, risking jobs and revenue. Consumers face higher prices from both U.S. and foreign tariffs. Experts warn this escalating conflict erodes trust and fragments the global economy. The risk of a major economic crash is growing. The tariff fight isn't just economic, it's legal. In August, a U.S. appeals court ruled most of Trump's tariffs illegal, saying the administration overstepped its authority. The Supreme Court will decide whether the entire tariff framework stands or falls. If struck down, the government could owe billions in refunds, creating chaos for businesses and budgets. Meanwhile, corporations are scrambling, moving factories, shifting supply chains, and making huge investments to dodge tariffs. AstraZeneca's $50 billion U.S. investment is just one example of companies trading cash for market access. These maneuvers highlight the immense pressure tariffs put on global business. The long-term consequences of using tariffs as leverage remain uncertain. So what's the bottom line? Tariffs are a high-stakes gamble with American prosperity and global stability. The administration bets short-term pain will bring long-term gain, but most experts disagree. Trade isn't a zero-sum game, it's a web that's lifted billions and kept prices low. Disrupting it hits farmers, small businesses, and every family's budget. As America builds tariff walls, other countries forge new trade deals, risking U.S. isolation. The choices made today will shape jobs, prices, and America's future for years to come. Staying informed is crucial, because the stakes are simply too high to ignore.